Redline Logbook here for D. Gray Man, Edo, and Asian Branch Arc Part 5, and the final part. And we start off back in Edo, where the combined level 3s are currently rampaging, destroying everything, and of course Robbie is currently fighting Tiki Meek. And we actually get to see Robbie do something pretty cool. He is able to combine seals. He combines his Fire Seal and his Heaven Seal, which produces this, like, flaming snake dog. Instead of trying to block this or dodge it or anything like that, Tiki Meek's decision is instead to order the giant level 3 monster to basically fire off a fuck ton of lasers that just start ripping apart Edo. And this probably would have killed everyone if it wasn't for the fact that Miranda's there, and she used her time lock on a building, and so they're just hiding in a building that's now unable to be destroyed because its time has been sealed. But this is really a short-term fix because eventually Miranda's gonna tire out, because if you destroy this house over and over again, it doesn't matter if its time's been sealed, that adds up, and Miranda's basically taxing her power more and more until eventually she has to let it go. Lena Lee, of course, suggests that she should go out there. Her dark boots would be the best solution for this problem, to take on this giant Akuma, but Bookman's like, no, you might be the heart, you ain't going nowhere, plus, you're basically crippled. You aren't gonna do anything right now, you're gonna sit there and we are going to figure this out. That's when the modified Akuma Aura then says she can't stay with them any longer, she's about to go on a rampage. Yeah, so even though General Cross is able to modify Akuma, he actually can't take away their bloodlust, and eventually they will succumb to it. As a result, there's a failsafe where they will then self-destruct. And as you already know, in previous arcs, when an Akuma self-destructs, in fact, if they die in any way that isn't through innocence, their soul doesn't get to go to the afterlife. Instead, their soul is obliterated. So this is actually a very cruel and horrific thing to do to an Akuma. General Cross is very utilitarian when it comes down to it. So Choco decided she's going to use the last of her life to basically help these people. They jump on her back, and she's going to fly them out of there. So when we pop back over to the Noah's group, the Millennium Earl orders Jas Davy, the two twins, to go after Cross. Yeah, just like it was said in previous chapters, the Millennium Earl is scared of Cross because he doesn't understand how he thinks. And so he's worried that this fight with the Exorcist that they're having right now might be part of Cross's plan to distract them. So the Earl believes that Cross is most likely going to try to steal Noah's Ark. And Jas Davy's like, wait, what? How is that possible? So that orb that we saw Rhode go into earlier, that was her chamber to basically transfer the data of the old Ark into the new Ark that they built. So this way they can start moving about in it. And obviously Cross wants to stop that from happening, so this way they can have control over the original Ark. And this brings up multiple issues. One, why can't they all just help Rhode get this done quickly and not have to worry about Cross? But the answer is no. The only people who can move the Ark are, one, the Millennium Earl, and two, the oldest child, Rhode. Second, the original Ark cannot leave Edo, and because it has been frozen there by a former Noah. This other Noah, besides the Earl and Rhode, actually had the ability to control the Ark, and what he did is that he froze it in place in Edo permanently, and then, before the Earl killed him, he transferred his ability to perform over to another individual. A performer is just the title given to someone who can move the Ark, so he gave away his ability to move the Ark to another. And this is why they cannot move the Ark. This is why they had to download all the data of the original Ark into this new Ark. And this is also why Tiki Meek was given a list of names. These are all possible people that were connected to the former Noah who could be the new performer. And that's when Jas Davy realizes, oh, Cross is the performer. He's the one that was given power over the Ark. And the Earl's like, hey, you finally get it. That's why I want you to kill him, so do it. We go back to the Asian branch where Alan is about to step into the Ark. He's given a radio communication to put in his ear so that he can talk with the rest of the staff, not just of the Asian branch, but of headquarters as well. In fact, Kamui is the first person to talk to him through the radio. Obviously, Kamui says hi to Alan first before telling him, okay, so we don't actually know if this is really the Noah Ark. All we know is it's a piece of technology that can warp space and allow you to travel through it. As such, we don't actually want you to go through it. We would like you to pull back so we can do little experiments. And I was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm going to Edo. I gotta help everyone. Kamui's like, okay, we're fine with that. But you gotta understand, you are our comrade. We care about you. We want to keep you safe, just like you want to keep everyone else safe. So you gotta remember that. And this, of course, leads Alan to be a little embarrassed, but he's finally growing up. He's finally realizing he doesn't have to throw his life away for Akuma. He's finally realized he can actually be a well-rounded human being. And the last thing that happens right before Alan enters the Ark, Rufa and the other two rush up and hand him his deck of cards that they found in the woods with him. Funny enough, they weren't able to find the ace because, well, Robbie took it, so they decided to make a whole new one. Yeah, they took the time to get a piece of cardboard and then draw a brand new ace on it. Good people. Alan enters the Ark, and the first thing he sees is a bunch of white buildings he refers to as the South. Now, he's from England, so when he says the South, he means Mediterranean, which is what these buildings look like. They look like they're from Italy or Spain or somewhere in the Mediterranean. It's definitely not what he expected the inside of the Ark to look like, but he can still communicate through his radio, so everything's fine at least. And he's talking to Kamui, he's asking them, hey, do you think everyone's fine? And Kamui's like, of course they are. And he basically starts to talk about all the things he plans on doing when everyone gets back. And while we're hearing Kamui tell Alan everything he plans on doing, we get to see basically the end of Choco back in Edo as she releases everyone and then charges the giant Akuma that's shooting lasers, taking every hit along the way. So at the same time, we're seeing Kamui talk about the return of everyone, where he says he's going to give everyone a pat on the shoulder, he's going to hug Lena Lee, Robbie will probably fall asleep, he'll make sure there's plenty of food for Alan to eat, and of course he'll drink some alcohol with the adults. We get to see Choco die and basically explode, but she did her job. She got the Exorcist close to the giant Akuma, so this way they can fight it. And the last thing Kamui mentions is that Kanda will come back last with a grumpy face. And he's right, as always, because there they are. General Theodore's group, along with Kanda and such, are there in Edo, watching as the rest of the Exorcists fight these giant Akuma and the Noah. The general then asks Mary what's going on, and of course he hears all kinds of Akuma fighting Cross's search team. General Theodore says, okay, you two, go help them. So as Kanda and Mary run off to help the rest in the fight, General Theodore talks with one of Cross's modified Akuma. This one looks like a wasp. Basically, it led them to here, so Theodore is grateful for that, but at the same time, he really has no interest in being involved with Cross. The Akuma basically laughs at this concept and says, oh, okay, well, my job's done, I'm getting hungry, so I gotta self-destruct now, and just fucking blows up. Back with Robbie's team, it doesn't seem to be working so well. Even though they were able to finally get up close to the giant Akuma, it's just knocking them around. They're exhausted, they're heavily injured, it just isn't working. They are just getting their asses handed to them. And out of nowhere, Tiki Meek decides to attack Miranda and Lena Lee, both who are heavily injured and exhausted because Miranda burned through her innocence again, and Lena Lee, once again, is just still crippled. Tiki Meek, as always, is a cruel bastard, and he's just running his mouth. He's about to kill Lena Lee when he gets punched through the chest. Obviously, he can phase through things, so technically, he doesn't actually get punched. He then gets shot in the head a couple times, once again, passing through him, and it's revealed that it's the 3 humans sailors that were with them. Basically, they're trying to do their job protecting the Exorcist, but it ain't working, and Tiki Meek then orders his evil butterfly to eat them. And yes, they would be dead right now if Kanda didn't just show up and cut the butterfly down. Kanda then immediately goes after Tiki Meek realizing that he's kind of at a disadvantage with a man with a sword who can move that fast, so he decides to throw Lena Lee as a distraction so he can get away. The giant Akuma then gets wrapped up in strings controlled by Mary. He then says melody of grief, and the thing starts convulsing in pain and agony as it looks like it's being annihilated from the inside out. Kanda then attacks the other big Akuma. Robbie's like, wait, that thing's really strong, and then Kanda just cuts it in half like it was nothing. So yeah, Mary and Kanda just one-shotted those 2 giant Akuma like they were nothing. The Earl then gets super pissed because he's down to 1 giant Akuma, and so he creates a black orb in his hand, and it expands, and expands, and expands, and it just keeps expanding until everything goes black. And the result of this is everything is gone. The city of Edo is gone. The ground has been annihilated so perfectly, it can reflect the sky and everything on it. The only thing is left that the Earl didn't completely erase from existence is himself, the Noah, and the Akuma. Even Tiki Meek is terrified of the Earl's power when he did this. The insane thing is that everyone actually survived this attack. The Exorcists were pretty strong physically. Miranda was able to save the normal humans by using her innocence as basically a shield. As for Lena Lee, the same thing that happened before, where her innocence turned to a giant crystal and protected her, is exactly what happened now. And while it's great her innocence saved her, the problem is, this is very noticeable by everyone, including the Earl, who immediately thinks to himself, is that the heart? The Noah aren't dumb. They realize the Earl now wants to get to Lena Lee because she might be the heart. So they go out of their way to attack the rest of the Exorcists. And the Akuma, that's giant, goes out of its way to attack the humans and other Exorcists who can't fight back or even move, forcing General Theodore to protect them. General Theodore's innocence allows him to paint a giant monster that fights the giant Akuma. But the point is, anyone who can move is currently being delayed even by a couple seconds, which gives the Earl enough time to get to Lena Lee. He He then starts smashing his way through the crystal and gets straight to Lena Lee, and she's basically screaming for help, but there's no one who can help her. Everyone is being delayed. The Earl completely grabs her with these weird face things, and he's about to straight up kill Lena Lee is when Alan shows up. Yes, Alan finally made it through the arc, and now we have two clowns staring each other down. The Earl versus Alan Walker. The Earl first tries out using those black orbs that he used to destroy Edo, but Alan is able to reflect them or at least stop him from throwing them at Alan and killing him. The Earl then turns Rauru, his umbrella, into a sword. The Earl even comments that Alan looks like the white-faced clown depicts on the Augustus clown. I had to look up what this meant, but apparently the white-faced clown was always the serious clown, and the Augustus clown is the goofball, the comedian, and basically they were paired up as a comedy duo. In a sense, he was calling Alan a bully. As they're fighting, a big thing of fog appears, and Alan ends up attacking Robbie by accident. Surprised, like, hey, you see the Earl, and then out of nowhere, Konda attacks Alan. And the best part is, Konda's the one who gets mad first for her, because he thinks Alan got in his way. That's when all three of them begin to realize that they were led into the same area together, and all of the Noah and the Earl just ran off. So yeah, everyone got suckered. And as always, this leads to Konda and Alan just fighting with each other. Robbie tries to break it up, but they basically threaten to kill him. So we get to see where the Earl and the Noah ran off to. The Earl dragged everyone into the ark, and actually it was the Earl by himself. He grabbed both of the Noah and then dragged them away to get away from the fight. And he did this because only 4 hours away before the transfer is complete, and so there's no need for them to fight the Exorcist once they have control over the Ark. So he figured it's not worth their time if they just keep them away. On the other hand, he does continue to insult Tiki Meek for failing to kill Alan Walker, because Alan's back, and not just that, but he's got a new arm, and he's actually stronger than before. The Earl just lays into Tiki Meek on how much of a failure he is. Jas Davy, those two idiots, finally made it to where Cross was. You know, that area with the booze and the chicken? Yeah, and Cross is gone, but he did leave the booze, well, the empty bottles, and the chicken. So yeah, they're pissed, because they got suckered again. General Theodore's team and Alan's team were able to meet up under a bridge, or what's left of a bridge after the Earl annihilated Edo, and they're discussing what's going on. So, as you can imagine, Theodore's not happy that Cross used these people as decoys. Like I said before, Cross believes the ends justify the means. Human beings are nothing more than pawns. General Theodore then reveals something disturbing. Excluding the 3 generals who aren't there, the 9 people who are right here at this moment under this bridge are the last of the Exorcists. Yes, every other Exorcist on planet Earth is currently dead. In the last few months since they've traveled from England all the way to Japan, the Noah has wiped out every other Exorcist on planet Earth. Lena Lee wakes up, and the first person she sees is Alan. He then immediately tries to apologize for not being able to save Suman, but she says, you don't need to apologize for that. You did save him. And then she does what she promised she'd always do. She welcomes Alan back. And Alan, clearly been holding everything in up to this point, actually begins to cry a bit and says, I'm back. And while everyone makes fun of him for a second, unfortunately, they're not able to celebrate the return of Alan, because the group will be broken apart one more time as a magic circle appears beneath Lena Lee, and she gets sucked into the ground, into a dark void. And we have finally made it to the end of the arc. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you can enjoy more D. Gray Man and other things. Thank you, and have a great day.